Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Happy Leader newsletter. Today I want to talk to you about something very important in communication that we call Aristotle's three artistic truths. Now, before I get to those, let me tell you a little bit of a story. Going back into time a little bit, a lot of people don't know this about me, but when I was at the university level, I applied to Concordia in communications. Now, when we look at communications today, we'll think a lot about leadership and public speaking, but in those days, the communications program, and still today, is really based around filmmaking, radio production, TV, and so it's a very artistic industry. And so to get into the program at Concordia, what you had to do is you had to get 3 letters of reference, you had to do all kinds of crazy videos to show them how advanced you were, and the last step was an in-person interview. And at this in-person interview, they actually told us you need to read up a lot about Aristotle, who really in Greek history was one who came up with a lot of the concepts that we still see today in a lot of the movies and the books and the stories that we have come accustomed to seeing. And so when they asked me the question, I had prepared diligently because I was really excited about this program. I had done my research. I came in completely prepared. I was expecting just a crazy question and that they would be asking me, to talk for hours and hours. And so I showed them all my portfolio, and then we got to the questions about Aristotle, and the interviewer said to me, what did you like best about Aristotle's teachings? And it was actually tougher to be asked such a general question. I actually had no idea what to answer because I had prepared for very specific segments of that question. And so my mind started reeling, I started sweating, I was getting really nervous, and then I just said, well, Aristotle is the one who really taught us how to communicate, and we can see his lessons in every single piece of artistry that we see today, whether it's in the movies, whether it's in books, whether it's in films, whether it's on television shows. And I just stopped there. I basically gave a 15-second answer, and I was just praying. And the interviewer looked at me and said, okay, great, that's awesome, thanks a lot, you're good to go. And I'd gotten into the program. And so, it's a funny story because I was so prepared, but then being asked a very general, basic question actually threw me off guard completely. Which takes us back into the 3 artistic truths. What are they? And let me explain them to you right now and why they're so important. So, number 1 is ethos. Okay, so Aristotle taught us that ethos was the first pillar of communication. Now, what does ethos mean? Ethos means credibility. What credibility do you have as a speaker or as a communicator that's going to get your audience to listen and to really be confident in the words and the things that you're saying? So that was the absolute first step and unbelievably important for you to really build that credibility so that you're someone that could be trusted. And we see that today all the time. When we see influencers, when we see different authorities on subjects, we often look into their history and their background to understand what gives this person the right to speak on this subject. What makes them a subject matter expert? So I encourage you to always make sure that you build that credibility with your audience and ensure that you have that authority so that when you speak right off the bat, you give yourself a better advantage of being listened to. The second part was logos. Logos is the art, like it sounds, it's the art of logic. So what can you do in a logic perspective to really ensure that you're being crystal clear on everything that you're explaining, that you're bringing a lot of logic into everything that you do? And so when the audience sees that you're putting coherent arguments together, that's really going to give you, again, an opportunity to be trusted and to be understood. And then you're bringing really important elements of coherence to everything that you say. So that's element number 2. Element number 3, and I think I would argue this is, right now in today's world, the most important, is pathos. What does pathos mean? In Greek, it's the art of emotions, okay? So how do we take emotions and connect emotionally with the crowd? Now, we see this all the time with people giving speeches, people like Barack Obama, who's been so fantastic at his public speaking, and many others, Steve Jobs, when he would give his presentations, he would always find a way to connect with the audience. They would find a way to connect with the audience emotionally. And so pathos is really the element of not only what you're saying, but how do you make people feel? And Maya Angelou has a very famous quote that's saying that people will not really remember what you do or what you said, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. And I really believe in this. I really believe that when you're communicating, you have to understand the emotions, both your emotions, but more importantly, the emotions of your audience. And how is it that what you're saying will be understood from an emotional standpoint so they can really connect and feel that bond with what you're saying. So that's the third element. When you're giving a speech, when you're communicating, whether it's in a small presentation or whether it's in front of a large group, you want to remember and take into account these three different elements: ethos, logos, and pathos, and see how you could integrate all of them into your process. Because you need to have the credibility piece, you need to bring in logic, and finally, and not least important, you absolutely want to bring an emotional aspect to it, especially for your audience to connect with you. So try to remember these three different elements when you're preparing any type of communication, whether it's a phone call, whether it's, even in a text, anything that you do communicating wise, you always want to make sure you bring these into your everyday process. And by doing that, you should have way more confidence and much more reach in the way you communicate. I hope that has been helpful. If you like this video, I hope you like it. I hope you share it with friends. And I look forward to hearing your feedback and comments on what you thought about this video about the 3 artistic truths from Aristotle. Thanks. Have a great day.